me check volume. So somebody near and dear to me has a mother and father with the birthdays 6. Well, let's try that again. It's 8 times 4, August 4th, times 1964. And you see how it begins with 628. Well, that's a date also, isn't it? And that's Obama's birthday. But Obama was born in 61. Well, I was born in 61. I was born 7 times 6 times 1961. So, you know, this person has parents that have a fusion of Obama's birthday. Same day, August 4th, and then the same year, 1961. A mom and a dad, put them both together. Well, so you go back to that 62848 number, right? And she was born on a leap year. Yep. Matter of fact, when she was born is in her number. The United States writes it 8-4, August 4th, but most countries would write it 4-8. But anyway, there's that 6. It begins with 628. 628. Now, I want you to think about June 28th. And you remember the midpoint total solar eclipse? It was the midpoint of the 2 total solars that made the X across America. The exact midpoint day. Because you see, though, we had a solar eclipse that formed one swath of the X across America, August 21st, 2017, and then the other just came through on April 8th, 2024, 7 years apart. But right in the middle of both those solar eclipses, on the exact day, that's a midpoint, because those solar eclipses were 2-4-2-2 days apart. Well, half of that would be 1-2-1-1. And on day 1-2-1-1, after the first solar eclipse, the exact midpoint was a total solar eclipse. And it just happened to be when they gave us the first pokey poke, and Robinette got his electoral college votes. His middle name is Robinette. Mr. Big said he was Batman, and then the current guy's middle name is Robin. They're on the same squad, as we all know. Members of Mystery Babylon, playing both sides of the coin. But, of course, united under their Luciferian, divine feminine, Mother Nature, Mother Goddess religion. That's why Trump has the upside down pyramid of 6x6x6 bushes at Trump Tower. The divine feminine. And so I want you to go back to that midpoint total solar on December 14th. Well, that's 1214. Well, what's half of 12? 6. And what's double the 14? 28. So I want you to think about this 628 again, right? This June 28th date. What I decided to look at today, based off midpoints, because it's quite obvious midpoints are very important. I wanted to look at, because we've already looked at the midpoint between this year's total solar eclipses. There's a ring of fire on the Donnie Darko date of October 2nd, the annular ring of fire solar eclipse, and then the total that was on April 8th. They're 177 days apart, which is 88.5 days midpoint. We found that midpoint to land on June 5th and a half. So June 5th, June 6th. All right, June 5th, June 6th-ish. If you go April 8th and you add the 88 days, it lands on July 5th. Well, the next half day, that's my birthday, July 6th. So it's the 5th and the 6th. That's your midpoint. of the total solars. Well, what about the midpoint of the of the two lunar eclipses this year? They're partial lunar eclipses, September 17th and it was March 25th. March 25th to September 17th, 17th, 18th, depending on where you're at. They're 176, or depending on where you're at, 177 days apart. Again, but this says 176 because in the Eastern time zone, it is like at 11 o'clock at night on the 17th. So we'll count the 17th. It's 176 days. And so half of that is 88. So we're going to add 88 to the lunar. So we're going to attack two midpoints. Well, this midpoint of June 21st happens to be a full moon. In June, there is a full moon on the 21st, right at the summer solstice. So the full moon is in Capricorn. That's the goat. A very high watch day would be the 19th, obviously, which is also Juneteenth. It's a high watch day. I think I've already got a playlist on that. My playlist, by the way, will be at Right Eye Wound Antichrist. I'm putting this on all three YouTube platforms, the old archives channel, Trey Stokes Archives, Mystery Babylon Right Eye. Of course, I'm putting it there, but Right Eye Wound Antichrist is where the playlist will reside. So when you go to that channel, click playlist. It's got Frank the Rabbit with his right eye glowing at Right Eye Wound Antichrist channel. So you've got two midpoints, one July 5th and a half, July 5th to July 6th, and one on June 21st, right on a full moon. Now, the July 5th date the midpoint is on a new moon. I know. But that's kind of how these eclipses work. So it's full moon to new moon. Well, I thought to myself, what's the midpoint between the two midpoints? You get me? I know you got me. So you go to June, you know it's going to be that 628, don't you? You go to June 21st to July 5th, and it's 14 days. What's half of 14? 7. When you add 7 days to 621, you are going to hit that 628 right between the eyes. And there's more personal codes to 629 and 630 that I just absolutely cannot get into here because people might know me well. And I don't want to get too bizarre. The other channel, though, in the playlist, maybe I'll throw one in there. But it's fascinating that his rising day would be June 30th. You know that band called Blink 182? Well, this event would take place on day 180, doing a 180, and he would rise on day 182 of the year, with 184 remaining. And we know all about the 84. That's his birthday, 6 times 14, which is also 7 times 12 is 84. 7 for cleansing, 12 the church. So, and this 628 is on a Friday. So they would be mimicking Jesus. Death on a Friday. The 28th is a square. It is the Aries moon, which is all about head wounds. He would rise on the Taurus moon, the bull. And we know from Angel White's videos all about the bull symbolism with Trump. The Chicago Bulls, that mean, nasty, red-looking, devilish bull. I don't know, man. I mean, it says 8 a.m. Would he already be risen? But it's a square, so it's a, you know, on the 28th in their astrology world, their satanic astrology, that is all about friction. Anytime you have a square. I used to be an astrologer when I was wickedly raised in pagan Rome school religion. They introduced us to a zodiac wheel on the cover of a paper stapled yearbook in the early 70s, late 60s. Can you believe that? So I was always a member of that religion, so I just thought God was good with astrology. So I was raised in astrology and became heavy into astrology. And of course, Daniel was trained in astrology. He was over the astrologers, the Chaldeans, and the magicians. He just didn't practice it. And I don't practice it anymore. But when we look at the Robert Langdon technology clues, Blues Clues, we know it's their world. I mean, this is all ordained by God, of course. But he runs the evil through Satan. Remember, God said, I create evil, I create darkness, I, the Lord, do all these things. And he even created the evil for the day of evil. That's Proverbs 16:4 and Isaiah 45:7. You see, because Isaiah 46:10 says he's declared the end from the beginning, because he's sovereign. Well, if he's declared everything, the book of Revelation, Antichrist, everything, then doesn't he have to create the evil? Folks, this is his movie and we're all just living in it. Me and Trump are the only two people on earth that have referred to the Bible as a movie, because that's what it is. God's the writer, director, producer, and even starred as himself in cameo appearances as God of the Old Testament, seemingly reacting to what humans did. No, he's just playing the role that the sovereign God ordained before the earth was even formed. Here's God talking. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. So the astrology, in essence, we're just don't practice it. But when we look at it for clues, it's Satan's world, but it's what God's ordained through Satan's world. Here's Proverbs 16:4. The Lord hath made all things for himself. Yea, even the wicked for the day of evil. What's the day of evil? That would be the abomination of desolation. Spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place. Let whosoever readeth understand, Jesus said. So this 628, that's a big deal to me. And there will be a playlist on it. Now, I ran another midpoint. Y'all remember that nobody on earth spoke about in 2022, Sirius the dog star rose, their big star. On August 12th, 2022, Sirius the dog star rose was also the midpoint of two total lunars, 88 days apart, and two total solars, 251 days apart. The latter featured an iPet goat. So when we run that midpoint day, did I already get rid of it? I got rid of it. We run that midpoint of August 12th, 2022 to our midpoint of the two midpoints of this year's solars and lunars to June 28th. Remember, June is half of December, 6 is half of 12, but 28th is double the 14 that you had the last time midpoints were a big deal, that total solar midpoint. Believe it or not, the amount of days between the midpoint of two total solars and two total lunars to our special midpoint day this year of 628, it's exactly 98 weeks. The 98th verse of Revelation is the white horse crowning verse. Percent of a common year, 187, which is murder, and 11 times 17 for Zechariah 11:17. But I want you to look at the days, 686. 68 and 86. 68 is the reversal of 86. And it's a palindrome. Same number going backwards and forwards. 1 year, 10 months, 16 days. You have 116 code. Remember, 116 is a backwards, upside down 911. It's 22 months, 16 days. So you also have 216 coded, which is 6 times 6 times 6. But on the rising day, which would be 630, it's 688 days. When you take my birthday of 7 times 6 times 1961 times this year, it ends in 688. So it's definitely something to take a look at. I want you to also look at the midpoint total solar of 2020. When Robinette got his electorials and they gave us the pokey poke on 12/14/2020, day of a total solar eclipse that sat in the middle as a midpoint of the two total solars that make the X across America. When you run that to our special midpoint day, it's 3 years, 6 months, 14 days. 6 months, 14 days. 6/14 is Trump's birthday. 36 is Adam in Jewish gematria. He is the Black Adam, per the movie The Black Adam. So it's a cipher. That's all this is. It's Robert Langdon technology. We look at clues at that one channel, right eye wound Antichrist. I keep getting it confused with the other one. Yeah, at Right Eye Wound Antichrist, we've got a lot of playlists for a lot of dates. We're big on 6.2 because that's Revelation in Strong's Concordance, G602. It's also Revelation 6.2 is the white horse crowning. The 98th verse of Revelation, it's Revelation 6.2. So June 2nd, it's a very high watch date. I've got another one on June 6th. And then there's others. Big time looking at July 3rd. The Back to the Future movie release date. Also in Sirius, the dog star goes dormant. And he would rise on the midpoint of this year's two solar eclipses, July 5th, July 6th. So the whole country would be celebrating one of their pagan holidays the day after with their flags out, and his birthday is Flag Day, June 14th. All by design by the AI. That's been around way longer than you think. The first computer was said to be in the late 1800s when I Googled it. Do y'all remember that? We remember how the Prestige Tesla was cloning in the late 1800s. Christian Bale was cloned. The Dark Knight was cloned. Same director. Christopher Nolan did the Prestige, same director as the Dark Knight. Michael Caine was Christian Bale's helper. Same Christian Bale helper of the Dark Knight trilogy is also his helper in the Prestige. You see what they do there? They always translate directors, but mainly actors playing the same role from movie to movie, like Daniel Craig, Knives Out, The Glass Onion. He's always Mr. Big. 007, the Seventh King of Mystery Babylon. Trump's mom's from Scotland. James Bond's mom from Scotland. Trump's mom's maiden name was MacLeod. Connor MacLeod, the Highlander. Couldn't die. James Bond. Sean Connery was in the movie. Told him he couldn't die. Told him he was immortal. Like the Antichrist returns from the dead. And where did he land when he came over from Scotland? MacLeod in the Highlander? Yeah. He landed in Queens, New York, where Trump was born. Jamaica Queens Hospital. Can't make this stuff up, can you? Jesus said the Antichrist would be here in his own name, and a trump is a horn, and a horn is a trump, and the horn was the Antichrist in the book of Daniel. SIX, SIX, SIX. In Jewish gematria comes to Donald John Drumpf, and Drumpf was Trump's surname, or they changed it to Trump to fit the other Bible prophecy. And Don Drumpf comes to 666 in English gematria, which is 6 times English ordinal, or 6 times simple gematria. English gematria is A is 6, B is 12, C is 18. English ordinal or simple gematria, of course, A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, Z is 26. Anyway, that's all I got for now on June 28th. I'm sure there'll be more some other time. Love you. As I start to take a deep dive into it. Love you.